Hi, welcome to Broken. Today I want to talk about measurement. So, in another video, I briefly brought up measurement. So, measurement is very important, especially to somebody like me who's an agency and I need some sort of currency in order to benchmark what units work better against my audience than other units, right? That's basically what I do. So, when we think about measurement, there's a lot of different ideas being thrown around and there's a lot of different currencies, and it makes it kind of difficult for an agency or anybody that's trying to get into out of home to kind of digest everything and compare apples to apples. And I think that that's always been the biggest issue keeping out of home from breaking through that 5% barrier in other media plans is our currency. It's either discounted at the the general agency level, at the client level, so people don't believe what we're saying, and then we have 9 people yelling different things and nobody believes us anyway. So we're really going down a bad road, I feel, with this measurement stuff. So let's talk about it for a second. So Geopath are the ones who are supposed to be coming up with the currency for out of home, right? They have their algorithm and their methodology where they're taking INRIX and this data and that data and visual data and view sheds and everything else and combining it together to say this is who is in this area, this is who it reaches, this is your reach, this is your frequency, right? And in the agency terms, that those are the tools that we need in order to put together a media buy by a GRP or TRP or whatever our goal is. So Geopath is a necessity, right? And then they also kick out to Telmar, which is another cross-industry tool, so that way people can kind of see apples to apples. Hey, if I spent this much on TV, my CPM is X, but if I spent this much in out of home, my CPM is Y. This is why it makes sense. But at the end of the day, it doesn't make any difference if people say, well, they say they're getting 500,000 people, but I'm going to say 15% discount, so they're only getting 425,000. I don't understand where that's coming from. And if we take a step back and take off our out-of-home hats for a second, I mean, the world that these guys are living in and planning and buying in, Nielsen, I mean, so everybody agrees that since I put a box in every 1,000 houses and 50% of those people are housewives and they all watched whatever nonsense, that's okay. We're all agreeing with that methodology. But when it comes to out-of-home methodology, everybody has to pick it apart. Well, if there's 3 people in the car, how many people are paying attention, and how do we know? I mean, we're coming from a world where we had strips on the ground and guys with counters who would sit there counting cars as they pass by, and that was okay for a currency. Now we've gotten so data enhanced and data focused that I think that we've kind of lost our way. We've got to take a step back and say, what are we doing? We're just marring the drawing board here. We're muddying the waters. So we had, so if everybody had to be part of Geopath, and that was an industry mandate, just like I would assume Nielsen is, if you want to broadcast anything on TV, you have to be rated by the industry. So if everybody was rated and everybody agreed on that methodology, then nothing should ever be discounted. I heard the other day from a friend of mine at an out-of-home specialist agency who's actually discounting the numbers. Like, that's atrocious. Like, it used to come to us and we would pass it through knowing that it was going to get cut down at the upper agency level. But to have specialists now discounting Geopath numbers, it's just bad news all around. So as an agency, I need one source of currency, right? So you have media owners who have gone out and paid these third-party location data companies. And that's great. The more data we have, the better. They're still, most of these guys are still part of Geopath, so I can still get those numbers, but it's great for all of their other clients. And I completely agree with that. What I was always screaming from the rafters at all of these committee meetings was, who is measuring their methodology? right? Like if you think about it, just because Ubimo or Clear Channel or whoever says that these are the people that are there, who is telling us that that is the right methodology? So it was always a difficult sell for me anyway to get that third-party data and take that as some sort of currency when we already have an existing currency. So I don't even know where I'm going with this. I just kind of want to bring it up. And now we have OAAA comes out today and says that they're going to add in their own opportunity to view or whatever it was. And it's like, we've all been through this, right? We've been through the DECs. We've been through the IZON. So now we're finally on board with Geopath. People are starting to adopt it and agree with it. And it has a methodology that can be pointed back to and say, this is how we came up with that number. You got to come up with a number somehow. They're saying 50 housewives are watching it, and everybody's okay with that. But we have to prove ourselves 6 ways to Sunday. And I think that that's because of our history of counting cars and blah, 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 whatever it is. And people also see our numbers and they go, these numbers are unbelievable. But those are the true numbers. I mean, we are in the best, medium for reach. People, it's unavoidable, right? I mean, that's the whole point of out of home. And people, so we can keep, getting to that minute level of how we're measuring people. But at the end of the day, they're still looking. So I think that we need to make it easier for people to digest our numbers and come to an agreement on what measurement is, right? We were talking about MRC. I was sitting on a committee with them, and we were trying to talk about data and location data and third-party data and mobile data. Like, who are you to say that that's an 18-year-old that's looking to buy a car when the other data from the other company could say something different because their methodology is completely different? So to me, it's great to have, but it's not something to rely on. I think we need to come together as an industry and figure out what that methodology is and get that currency and get it enforced and back it up. Don't cut them down. Don't cut those numbers down. We have a reason that those numbers are so high. There's a reason that we're the best medium in any market because we have the reach. We have, the tools. So don't discount those numbers. I think that's a crappy thing to do, and especially at the specialist level. I mean, you're cutting your own legs off. You're showing that you don't believe the numbers either. We have to stand together as an industry and say, we believe this is our currency, this is what we're going to do, and we back it. So I've said enough. I'll talk to you guys again. Thanks.